My name is Madison, 28. First doctor in my entire family. I always believed that on the day I heard Dr. Madison into a microphone, my parents would be there in the front row. I was wrong. My mom didn't forget my graduation. She skipped it on purpose. Chose my brother's backyard barbecue over watching me walk across the stage for my doctorate. My dad looked me dead in the eye over the phone and said, "Don't be dramatic. It's just a ceremony." Something in me snapped. What I did next wasn't a tantrum. It was cold, calculated, final. Lawyers, paperwork, a new last name. A chain reaction that turned my parents into the villains of a story they never imagined. Today, they say I destroyed the family. But when they were laughing over burgers while I crossed that stage alone, they didn't care they were destroying me. If you've ever been called dramatic for wanting people to show up for you, this is for you. Graduation morning, I woke up before my alarm, heart pounding. For 7 years, I'd imagined this day. Every version had the same details. My mom in the front row, mascara streaked from crying. My dad taking way too many pictures, zooming in too close, cutting off the top of my cap. Both of them standing up before anyone else when my name was called. That fantasy was my fuel. I clung to it whenever I was so exhausted I couldn't see straight. I told myself, they'll be there when it counts. They have to be. I got dressed slowly, almost ritualistically. Shower, pressed shirt, the black gown that still felt like a costume. I'd even decorated the top of my cap with neat white letters. First doctor in the family. It was supposed to be cute, a little proud, a little funny. Looking at it that morning, it suddenly felt like a question. First doctor in the family. Does the family even care? Before I could spiral, my phone buzzed. "Mom," the screen said. Relief flooded me so fast I almost laughed. Of course she was calling. Of course they were already in the car. I answered with a smile already in my voice. "Hey, are you guys on your way? If you left early, you should still get pretty good seats." "Sweetie, listen." Her voice cut through mine, bright and too light, like she was about to cancel lunch plans. "We mixed up the dates. Your brother's barbecue is today." My brain just stalled. "What?" She rushed on. "We already invited everyone. There's tons of food. Your father's been marinating meat since yesterday. It's a big thing for him, and for your brother's business. Clients are coming. We can't just cancel. It would be rude." I blinked at the wall, not sure if I'd actually heard what I thought I heard. "You're not coming," I said slowly. "To my doctorate graduation." Pause. Then that sigh I knew too well. The one that said, "You're making this harder than it has to be." "We'll make it up to you. We'll have a nice dinner next week. Dress up. Take pictures with your diploma. We'll post them. It's the same thing." My grip tightened on the phone. It's not the same thing. This isn't some random event. I worked 7 years for this. 7 years of exams and clinics and rotations and barely seeing you. This is the one day you're supposed to show up for me. Muffled shuffling. Then my dad's voice in the background. "Give me the phone." A second later, he was on. "Madison," he said with that calm, tired tone he used when he thought I was overreacting. "Don't start. We're proud of you, okay? But it's just a ceremony. They say your name, everyone claps, you walk, it's over. You already accomplished the hard part." "If you supported me," I said quietly, "you'd be in those seats." He made a frustrated sound. You know how much work went into this barbecue. Your brother built his whole network around events like this. People are expecting us. We can't just blow them off to sit in a crowd and listen to a bunch of names we don't know. Pause. Don't be dramatic. There it was. The sentence I'd heard my entire life. Don't be dramatic. Said when they left my school play at intermission. Said when they forgot parent-teacher night. Said when they skipped my scholarship ceremony because my brother needed the car. It was the family bandage they slapped over every wound they didn't want to look at. Something inside me went very, very still. My cap and gown hung on the closet door behind me, waiting. My fantasy of them in the front row dissolved so cleanly, it felt like it had never been real. Okay, I heard myself say. My voice sounded flat, foreign. Got it. Have fun at the barbecue. My mom jumped back on the line. Don't say it like that. We will celebrate. You'll see. Send us lots of pictures, okay? We want to see you on stage. I ended the call. For a minute, I just stood there in my silent room, phone still pressed to my ear, listening to the dial tone. Then I looked at the cap on my dresser. First doctor in the family. I ripped the letters off one by one until the cap was just black fabric again. Anonymous, forgettable, exactly how they'd always treated me. The ceremony was beautiful. The hall was packed. Families cheered when names were called. When they said, Dr. Madison Carter. I walked across that stage alone. No one stood up. No one screamed. No flash from the front row. I smiled for the official photographer, shook hands, accepted my diploma, and felt absolutely nothing. After the ceremony, I checked my phone. 37 messages in the family group chat. None of them were congratulations. They were photos from the barbecue. My brother grinning next to the grill. My parents laughing with clients. One photo showed my mom holding a burger. Timestamp, exactly when my name was called. I stared at that photo for a long time. Then I opened a new note on my phone, started making a list. Things to do. 1. Find a lawyer. 2. Change my name. 3. Never go back. 3 weeks later, I was sitting in a lawyer's office filling out paperwork. Legal name change. Madison Carter to Madison Murphy. My mother's maiden name, the only part of my family history I wanted to keep. The lawyer asked why I was doing it. Because, I said, I'm cutting ties with people who made it very clear I'm optional, and I don't want them using my name as a claim to me anymore. He nodded, didn't ask for details. 6 weeks later, the court order came through. Dr. Madison Murphy. Official, legal, final. I updated everything. Driver's license, medical license, bank accounts, professional registration. Every document that used to say Carter, erased. My parents didn't know yet. I didn't tell them. I just disappeared. Stopped answering calls. Stopped showing up for holidays. Stopped pretending. For almost 3 years, I heard almost nothing from them. Stiff holiday group emails, occasional forwarded memes. I didn't go home. I didn't send gifts. My new life as Dr. Madison Murphy filled up with work, therapy clients, quiet chosen friendships. I also started a blog under a pseudonym, Dr. M. I wrote about family neglect, golden children, invisible siblings, parents who call you dramatic when you point at the wound they gave you. One post in particular poured out of me. When your parents skip your graduation for a barbecue. I described the empty chairs, the phone call, the photo from the party. I ended it with, "Some people will say you're overreacting. Ask yourself why they're more upset about you telling the story than about the story being true." The blog was small at first, a handful of readers. Then one post got shared, then another. Comments started appearing. "This happened to me. I thought I was crazy. Thank you for saying it out loud." My pain was no longer a secret. It was a signal. One piece about the ghost child and the golden child got picked up by an online magazine. They asked if they could republish it. I agreed, as long as they didn't use my full name. Just Dr. M, psychologist. I forgot about it after I hit send. A week later, my phone started buzzing during lunch break. Unknown number. I ignored it. It rang again and again. Finally, a text. "Madison, please. It's Mom. It's important." I let it go to voicemail. That night, I pressed play. Her voice sounded wrong, tight, panicked. "Madison, if this is still your number, I think that article was about us. People are talking. Your father is furious. Your brother is losing clients, sponsors. They don't want to work with someone from a family that would do that to their daughter." Pause. "Is that what you wanted? To punish us?" The second voicemail was sharper. "This is our private business. I cannot believe you would paint us as abusers on the internet. It was one misunderstanding, and now you're making us look like monsters." One misunderstanding. That's what she called a lifetime of being second choice. Days later, my mom sent a text that stripped away any remaining illusion. "Please call me. We're desperate." Not, "I miss you." Not, "I'm sorry." Just, "We're desperate." Because my truth was costing them money, reputation, the polished image they'd built. In the end, I did call back, but not to apologize. "If we talk," I told my mother, "it has to be in public, neutral place. No yelling, no pretending it was all a misunderstanding. You tell the truth or there's nothing to say." She agreed instantly. We picked a cafe halfway between my city and theirs. When I walked in, I spotted them immediately. My mom looked smaller than I remembered, lines etched deeper. My dad looked exactly the same, just older, jaw clenched, arms crossed. My mom stood like she wanted to hug me. I stopped, just out of reach. "Hi," I said. "It's Dr. Murphy now." My dad's eyes flickered. He didn't like that. We sat. Awkward dance of menus and coffee orders. As soon as the waiter left, my mom leaned in. "We're under attack. Ever since that article, people have been judging us. Your brother's sponsors are pulling out. Clients are avoiding him. Your father's position at the club is in question. This is hurting our whole family." I pulled out my phone, opened the family chat screenshot from my graduation day, slid it across the table. My message. "Today, I became Dr. Madison Carter." Their reply. "We said we'd celebrate next week. Why are you making this about drama?" And beneath that, my dad's voice recording. "Don't be dramatic. It's just a ceremony." "You mean this?" I asked. "This is what I described. You're upset that people finally see it." My dad's mouth tightened. "We made a mistake. People make mistakes. That doesn't mean you get to smear us online and destroy our lives." Interesting choice of words. Because when you skipped my doctorate graduation, that wasn't just a mistake. It was a choice. You didn't forget. You prioritized convenience. Pause. I just wrote down what happened. My mom's eyes brimmed with tears. You're twisting things. We've always supported you. We paid for your books, your rent. We were proud of you. You were proud in theory, I cut in. But when it came time to show up, you didn't. Not in high school, not in college, and not when it mattered most. They went quiet. A couple at the next table glanced over, but I didn't lower my voice. Let them hear. For once, I wanted witnesses. We tried our best, my mom whispered. I laughed once, softly. No, you tried your best with him. With me? You did the bare minimum and called it parenting. And when I finally pointed at the pattern, you called me dramatic. My dad leaned forward, voice low but hard. We are not villains in your little revenge story. Families have problems, but you don't take them to the internet. That's betrayal. You want to talk about betrayal? I asked. You betrayed me every time you made it clear I was optional. All I did was stop keeping your secret. That's not betrayal. That's disclosure. I pulled a printed copy of the article from my bag, tapped the pages. Do you know how many people wrote to me because of this? People who went through the same thing. People who thought they were crazy because their families told them their pain was no big deal. Pause. You're not mad that I lied. You're mad that I told the truth where other people could hear it. My mom's tears finally spilled over. So what do you want? You want us to grovel? You want us to admit we're awful parents? I met her gaze. I wanted you to show up. When you didn't, I wanted you to own it. Not spin it, not excuse it, own it. The silence that followed was heavier than any shouting match. My dad broke it. You've made your point. You've punished us. So now what? You come home, we move past this. You're our daughter. There was a time when hearing "you're our daughter" would have shattered me. Sitting in that cafe, I felt tired. Not angry, not hysterical, just done. No, I said finally. I'm not coming home. My mom recoiled. You can't mean that. We're still your parents. Biologically, yes. Emotionally, you fired yourselves a long time ago. I just finally accepted it. My dad scoffed. You changed a name on some papers, and now you think that erases blood? I reached into my bag, pulled out an envelope. Inside were copies of my legal documents: court order, updated license, professional registration. I slid them across the table. This doesn't erase blood. It erases entitlement. This is the name on my degrees, my clinic door, my writing. Madison Murphy. That's who I am now. Pause. You don't get to use the old name to drag me back into a role that nearly killed me. My mom's hands trembled as she unfolded the papers. Tears blurred the ink. So that's it? You're erasing us from your life? I shook my head. No, I'm just refusing to let you keep erasing me from mine. My dad's voice rose, telling me I was overreacting, that normal families had worse issues, that I was blowing one event out of proportion. I cut him off. This isn't about one barbecue. It's about a lifetime of learning that I came second. second to convenience, second to schedules, second to your golden child. My doctorate was just the moment I got proof. The day you confirmed that even at my highest, I still wasn't worth a drive. My mom reached across the table, grabbing my wrist. We can fix this. We'll apologize publicly if that's what you want. We'll tell people we were wrong. Just don't throw away your family. I gently pulled my hand back. You can't fix rot with fresh paint. You have to tear out the damaged parts. For me, that means tearing myself out of the system where I'm only loved when it doesn't cost you anything. I stood. The chair scraped softly. From now on, if anyone asks you about me, tell the truth. Tell them you had a daughter who became the first doctor in the family, and you chose a barbecue over her graduation. Tell them you called her dramatic. Tell them you only reached out when her story started costing you money and status. My dad glared up at me. You're going to regret this one day. I looked at him, realized the spell was broken. His disapproval no longer felt like a death sentence. Maybe I will, I said. But I already regret every year I spent begging for scraps of love from people who couldn't bother to sit in a chair and clap. Pause. I'd rather regret walking away than regret never doing it. I picked up my bag. My mom's voice cracked behind me, saying my old last name like a spell that used to work. It didn't. I walked out of the cafe, out into the sunlight, and for the first time in my life, the word selfish didn't sting. It felt like self-defense. In the months that followed, the texts came in waves. Anger, guilt, bargaining, nostalgia. Then, eventually, silence. Through relatives, I heard that my brother's reputation took a hit, that my parents complained about being slandered. But they still never actually explained what they'd done. That's fine. My revenge was never about them admitting guilt. My revenge was simple. I took myself away. I built a life under a name they don't get to claim. My patients know me as the doctor who believes them. My friends know me as the woman who will show up, because she knows what it's like when people don't. My chosen family knows I will never pick a barbecue over their milestones. Sometimes, late at night, I think about that empty seat at my graduation and the full chairs at my brother's party. And I feel something close to peace because I finally understand. Blood is not a free pass to hurt someone without consequences. Here's what this story taught me. When someone tells you, "Don't be dramatic," they're really saying, "Don't make me accountable." It's a silencing tactic, a way to make your pain smaller so they don't have to face what they did. This story taught me that showing up isn't expensive. It's a choice. My parents had money for meat and decorations. They had time to host a party. They just didn't have the willingness to prioritize me. And here's the hardest truth. Some families will only value you when losing you costs them something. Not because they miss you, but because your absence finally damages their image. The real lesson? You don't owe anyone access to you just because you share DNA. Family isn't a free pass. It's something earned through consistent love and showing up. And when they don't show up, you're allowed to leave. So now, I want to ask you, if your parents skipped the biggest moment of your life for something as trivial as a barbecue, what would you do? Would you forgive them? Go to that makeup dinner and pretend it didn't hurt? Or would you do what Madison did? Cut ties, change your name, and build a life they can't touch. Maybe you'd set conditions. Require a real apology first, therapy together, actual accountability before any relationship continues. I really want to know. Because here's the deeper question. When people show you over and over that you're optional, at what point does staying become self-harm? Is walking away an act of revenge or an act of self-preservation? And if you publicly share your story, knowing it might hurt the people who hurt you, are you being vindictive, or are you finally refusing to carry their shame? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, because this isn't just about graduation or barbecues. It's about knowing when loyalty to family becomes betrayal of yourself. Let's discuss.